Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tea time. Today I'm drinking super generic, super cheap green tea, because that's where it's at. You're sitting in the passenger seat of a vehicle and your friend is driving on the highway and someone speeds past them. And they get very upset and angry at that person and yell at them, even though that person can't be heard, about how they're endangering lives and all of these different things. And then your friend gets stuck behind driving slower than they are, and they get mad again. They get upset about how they're not safe. They're driving so slow it's not safe. They're not being safe either. And they're holding up traffic and they're being inconsiderate and all these other sort of things. This is something that happens pretty much to everyone, especially in the beginning of your driving experience. And I think a lot of that comes from power, right? You're in control of a 2-ton vehicle. You have a lot of power. And even if you don't understand that explicitly, I think you implicitly or subconsciously understand that, and it has an effect on your emotions. And the same thing happens in the gaming community. If someone is less serious about a particular game, then they are scrubs and noobs, and they don't matter, and their voices shouldn't be heard, and they should be gone, or they should try harder, or what have you. But on the other end of the spectrum, there are a bunch of serious people who are taking it super serious. They're insane, they're crazy, they're tryhards, they're whatever. And especially if they're not professional. If they're professional, people are like, okay, you're allowed to put in a lot of effort into this game if you make money at it. But if you're not, then you don't get my respect. You're a tryhard. And I think it's interesting, this sort of connection came up to me, and this is sort of a usual thing at this point, right? But I play chess, Overwatch, and Starcraft, among other games. Starcraft I'm very, very serious about, and I'm focused on my improvement and being efficient and all these other things. Overwatch, I'm pretty serious about it, but definitely not as much as Starcraft. And then chess, I just play chess. I love to play chess. I play chess with Alex pretty much every day. And sometimes we just leave the chessboard out and make a move here and there. Sometimes we sit down and play it for long periods of time. We don't have a practice schedule, or we're not trying to win. We're just doing an activity that we enjoy. And I think it's useful to think about, okay, this person, they're driving slower than me, right? They're playing more casually than I do. You know, let's say I'm with Starcraft. For me, I'm very serious about it. Trying to consider, okay, they're playing Starcraft the way that I play chess, or they're playing Starcraft the way that I play Overwatch, and vice versa too. When someone's playing a game more serious than you, think about something that you take serious in your life. Maybe it's not a game, maybe it's your career, maybe it's music or writing or whatever it is that you take very seriously, you take pride in, you care a lot about, and sort of say, okay, you know, they're playing Starcraft like I do my job, whatever your job might be, perhaps. And kind of being okay with that. The job is a little bit tricky because you get paid and there's, but you know what I mean, right? There's that general sort of feeling. And I'm one person and I play many games in different ways. And in the same way, Starcraft, Overwatch, chess, they're all one game. And in each of those games, there are many different peoples with many giant spectrums of seriousness being taken into it. And something interesting happened to Starcraft that's a little bit sad, that less and less casual players existed in the Starcraft scene over time. Over the past 4 years, the casual user base feels like it's getting smaller. And it feels like the people that playing the game and the community are just becoming more and more serious, and less accepting of people who drive slower than them. And it's a little bit frustrating, a little bit scary, because that can always happen. Just like in the car scenario, there's always someone who's gonna drive faster than you, and there's always someone who's gonna drive slower than you, 100% of the time. right? So in the Starcraft scenario, the seriousness, it can keep getting smaller and smaller and more serious. until like someone who comes into the game and like is probably a prodigy but hasn't put much time into the game yet is going to be like dismissed and, you know, hated and all this kind of stuff, which is not, I think, particularly useful for a game community. And Overwatch kind of did the opposite of what Starcraft did, right? Starcraft, everything about Starcraft, especially in the beginning, was about seriousness, competition, esports, all that stuff. I mean, they have the campaign, and the campaign is for the casuals, but the rest of the game is for serious people, without a lot of room in between. In the in-between, it was like, campaign, 1v1. And there were team games, but they were very looked down upon by the community. I mean, oh, you're just playing team games. And Overwatch has done sort of the opposite thing, where Overwatch has been mostly concerned with the casual to middle of the road type people and less concerned with the niche competitive audience. And there are probably a lot of people that are going to disagree with me here. I'm voicing a non-popular opinion. I think that is a good decision. I think prioritizing the majority of the base of players is a good decision, not just for them, but also for the serious people, because the serious people are the ones who are all into the esports. They want to see the game succeed and get lots of, those are the people who are counting viewers and worried about that type of stuff. They're watching the metrics of how many people are in subreddits and how many followers on Twitter, all this different stuff. They're measuring their game against other games and all that stuff. They want that. They want their game to be the best game, better than all the other games, right? That kind of comes, I think, a lot with the seriousness. And also, that helps with esports. So consider the benefit of prioritizing the majority of players if you're a serious player. Your needs, your individual needs, are not being prioritized. And that feels shitty. And that can be frustrating. But the game as a whole is going to grow in its user base, in the money that's coming in, which in turn leads to more development for the features that you want. But it's not a direct thing. Your immediate needs are not being taken care of first. The needs of the many are being taken care of first. So I think probably a good example of this in Overwatch is replays. So there's a niche group of serious Overwatch humans that really want replays. And I agree. I think replays would be awesome. I would be really personally super happy to have replays, because then I could watch, we could share replays, I could watch replays of the pros and see how they do certain things. I could learn so much faster. It would be phenomenal. I would really, really like that. But I understand that by not falling into the Starcraft trap of taking care of the minority first and sort of the majority second, I think it's better for the game overall. I think it's better for me overall. It's just a long-term look at how things are going to go. It's a short-term thinking versus long-term thinking kind of a thing, where the more people play the game, the more money the game makes. The more money the game makes, the more it can be developed, the more awesome stuff that we can get for any game. Insert the game that you play here, any game. That's how it works. And replays are gonna happen. Jeff Kaplan has been amazing with communication. He is a literal god of communication tasteless. It's been phenomenal. Issues pretty much come up, and then within 48 hours, Jeff Kaplan's got a post on it, or some other blue post. But a lot of times it's Jeff Kaplan, which is kind of amazing. And it's about, he responded specifically to the replay thing, saying, okay, replays are something that we want, but we have to go about getting to the place where we get to replays in the correct way. And we're gonna prioritize making the spectator interface better first, because that is kind of what replays are built on in a way. A lot of the features maybe that the spectator stuff is going to benefit from will also benefit the replays. And by doing that, they're prioritizing viewers, because spectator interfaces are gonna be what's in esports, what you see when you watch a tournament of Overwatch. And it's also going to benefit most every single user, because you can spectate a game as a regular user. When you die, you are spectating the game. And this is just one of the many tendencies that I've been observing from the Overwatch team. And I think if you look closely, you'll see it as well, where they're sort of making this experience really, really awesome as a game to play, and then saying, okay, it's also an esport, as opposed to being like, this is an esport, this is serious. Also, there are some casuals who play the game too, kind of an approach. And I think that while it's frustrating, the Overwatch approach is a little bit frustrating for the more serious players, we are in the minority. And long term, we will actually benefit from a majority-focused development. Now, that's not to say exceptions won't happen, because they will happen, they should happen. When something is really important, it needs to be done, I do think Blizzard is going to get it done. I've never sort of been too worried about them getting stuff done for the serious groups of people. Maybe I should be. Maybe Overwatch will be too casual focused. But I'm very optimistic, and I think a lot of other people too are very optimistic about the future of Overwatch and having it be this game where we can enjoy ourselves and we can be okay with people who play the game less seriously than we do. And we can be okay with people who play the game more seriously than we do. We don't have to rally around one banner or one area. We can exist in a giant spectrum of things and be okay with each other. So what do you think? What games do you play very seriously, very casually, in the middle of the road? And have you found yourself in the car, literally or, metaphorically, yelling at the people driving faster or slower than you and not really realizing that you were doing it? What kind of, common experiences do you have that are sort of involved in this topic? And then finally, long-term development. Is it going to benefit Overwatch to be prioritizing the majority of the player base, or are they going too casual? Is it too casual focused? And we need replays right now. We need 128 tick servers right now. Sacrifice the casual experience so we can get that ASAP. My name is JaKaTaK, and as always, thanks for watching. If you have an idea for a video you would like me to do, please leave it with any questions, comments, criticisms, concerns, or anything beginning with letter C in the comment section below, and I'll see you again soon.